Jurassic World Evolution 3 has a problem, and it's this. Now, what do I mean? The criticism in this video is just my personal opinion and honestly comes from a place of love and autistic hyperfixation because I absolutely adore how Jurassic World Evolution 3 is looking so far. But not even rock arches can distract me from this one problem. We've been getting some very exciting news for Jurassic World Evolution 3. The Cretaceous cruise, the petting zoo, and the balloon tour were all revealed in just the past 2 weeks. And in that same time, 23 species have been confirmed for the new game. Fan favorites like Megalodon, Dunkleosteus, and Chunkingosaurus? Syntosaurus? Archaeornithomimus? 23 new dinosaurs, but not only are none of them actually new, some of them are making me think, why? The roster is becoming the one letdown of the game. And this isn't about the roster shrinking from 122 at the end of Jurassic World Evolution 2 to 82 at the launch of Jurassic World Evolution 3. I actually have no issue with the smaller roster, although I do understand that many do. I've always said that as nice as it was to get new species in DLC, the game never needed more species. It needed better park building tools, and Jurassic World Evolution 3 absolutely delivers on that. And that is why I'm super excited for this game, and more so whenever they reveal new attractions and decorations. So this video might be a little nitpicky, but if you are going to cut over 40 species out of your roster, there is very little margin for error. And yet, I do fear mistakes are being made.
I'm not making the same mistakes again.
No, you're making all new ones.
The problem with the roster really reared its ugly head 2 weeks ago.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me.
And the problem is bigger than Archaeornithomimus. It's about what Archaeornithomimus represents. On the Jurassic World Evolution 3 website about the dinosaur roster, it said the game would include icons of the Jurassic franchise. And a lot of people interpreted that as confirmation that all canon species were in the game. But I didn't. However, this is not iconic.
You should hear a 4-year-old try to say Archaeornithomimus.
We should hear you try to say it.
I'm afraid the people who said that all canon species are in might be right. I certainly feel like the inclusion of Archaeornithomimus points to that. If a dinosaur whose only canon relevance is a joke name drop, then I do believe that icons of the franchise could just be any canon dinosaur. And honestly, inclusions like Morus intrepidus and yes, even Microceratus point to this problem as well. For a lot of people, this won't be a problem at all. A lot of people want all canon species, no matter how little screen time they have, even if they have no screen time. But I strongly disagree that a roster should be built on canon dinosaurs and then just fill in whatever slots are left, because a lot of these canon species don't add any value to the roster. Look at Archaeornithomimus. What does this add to our parks that we don't already get from Gallimimus, and presumably Struthiomimus, which, as the very first dinosaur we ever created in the Jurassic World Evolution series, I'm certain will return for the third game, and more on that later. Dracorex makes an appearance in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Seriously, it's right there. And that's enough for people to consider it canon and throw up their hands and be like, well, I guess we gotta have it in the game. Dracorex. I literally made a joke yesterday about how disappointing of a species reveal that would be. Look, every dinosaur is statistically at least one person's favorite must-have dinosaur. But come on, even if Dracorex and Archaeornithomimus are your favorite, you gotta agree that they're not exactly icons of the franchise or community favorites. Even a, let's say, cool dinosaur like Atrociraptor has the same issue as Archaeornithomimus. We have better raptors already confirmed. How is something like Australopithecus not a better pick than Atrociraptor? It actually brings something interesting, being from a different region than other species confirmed so far, and being a Megaraptoran, as opposed to the third Dromaeosaurid. A Velociraptor is so similar to Velociraptor, the babies share the same idle animation, and both males have been given the same quills as sexual dimorphism. I don't see why, but it's canon, holds so much weight. Deinonychus would have been better. Oh yes, I am going there. I unironically love the tadpole, and at least it has unique features that sets it apart from Velociraptor. Same for something like Mamenchisaurus. I love Mamenchisaurus, but we have 6 large sauropods already if you include the hybrids. Do we really need a 7th? Another example is Troodon. Troodon is already confirmed. Would we really need Stegosaurus as well in the base game? People were clamoring for Stegosaurus for Jurassic World Evolution 2 because it's canon and we need it, and we finally got it in the last DLC. Having both in a roster of 122 species is one thing. Having both in a roster of 82 that requires over 40 cuts to achieve is redundant. Look, I'll be honest, I'd rather have Sigi than Tro, but not both. The argument of, well, they're canon, so we need them, becomes a bit strenuous when you realize Jurassic World Evolution 3's base game roster consists of only 82 species, of which 48 are already officially 100% confirmed, and 6 are soft confirmed, which are at 99% only on a technicality. 54 slots are already taken. There are 19 more canon dinosaurs not included in those 54, excluding rebirth species, which I'm predicting will be a DLC, and Smilodon, which seems highly unlikely as long as there are no plans to add a selection of Cenozoics to the roster. Canon species could be interpreted even more broadly, as we can see scrolling through the Jurassic Park wiki, so I'm actually going with a rather modest canon list.
It could have been worse, John. A lot worse.
But even then, we're up to 73 out of 82 slots already taken. This would leave only 9 slots for fan favorites like Acrocanthosaurus, Euteranus, and Dinochirus. Species that add interesting size variation to certain groups like Amargasaurus and Minmi. Brand new species many have on their wish list, like my beloved Chantongosaurus, a big croc, Plateosaurus and Microraptor, and more popular lagoon species like Archelon, Shonosaurus, and Chronosaurus to flesh out that part of the roster. I named 12 species just now, and I'm sure you guys agree we can easily name even more. 9 slots isn't enough to add the dinosaurs that I think the roster would really benefit from. Especially when the second problem rears its head. Centausaurus and, to a lesser extent, Chunkingosaurus and Sauropelta hint at Frontier prioritizing base game species from Jurassic World Evolution 1 for the return to the third game. I really like Chunkingosaurus, but I recognize not many people agree. However, it makes sense to include at least one of the smaller Stegosaurids alongside the big Chungus himself. Sauropelta? Not my favorite, I would have preferred Polycanthus, but it turns out quite a few people were happy to see Sauropelta return, and again, it makes sense to pick one to bring over to Jurassic World Evolution 3. Centausaurus, I really don't see the added value of. I think we were all surprised to see it return. Pretty much everyone, at least as far as I've seen in my comments, agreed that Allura Titan would have been the better pick. And I'd go as far as to argue, if the game is gonna add Parasaurolophus and Corythosaurus already, I think we're good as far as bipedal hadrosaurs go for the base game, again, of just 82 species. But Centausaurus was in Jurassic World Evolution 1 at launch, same for Chunking and Sauropelta. They were picked to be in the first base game for a reason, and for that same reason, Frontier might be giving them priority over species that were added down the line, or entirely new species. There are 13 dinosaurs from the Jurassic World Evolution 1 base roster that are not yet confirmed for Jurassic World Evolution 3. That's more dinosaurs than there are slots left, assuming all canon species come into the game. So as you can see, the hypothetical roster is already bursting at the seams. And that is the problem, in my opinion. I think there is pressure to add all canon species, and I think a lot of the Jurassic World Evolution 1 base species at the cost of new, more unique, and more popular species. the logical counter-argument would be that Jurassic World Evolution 1 launched with a roster much smaller, and that game also included the Coretho, the Sintao and Para, the Archie, the Gali and Struthi, the Chunking, the Huayango, and Gigant Spino, and that was fine, right? So why is the same repetitiveness not fine for Jurassic World Evolution 3? To which I'd say, yeah, I guess it is fine. Just that. Just fine. Don't we want something better and more exciting than just fine? I think what would really spice up all the Jurassic World Evolution 3 improvements would be a roster that truly feels different from the past games. I'm well aware that each new species means another Jurassic World Evolution 2 species cut, but I don't mind that. I'd rather have new dinosaurs than returning dinosaurs. The more the better. As much as I love the Jurassic World Evolution 2 roster, I've been building habitats for those dinosaurs for the past 4 years, for a lot of them for the past 7 years. I would want as many new animals as possible. Instead, I see a concerning trend. 54 of the 82 species are already confirmed for the base game. And keep in mind that this whole video has been about the base game, not including the deluxe edition. Of those 54, only 3 are new. So 5.5% of the revealed species are new. At this rate, we'd have as few as 4 or 5 new dinosaurs in the entire base game roster. And while it's very possible that a big batch of new species reveals could still be coming, I do think it's concerning that at only 7 weeks until launch, they chose to dedicate a showcase to Tropiognathus and reveal 6 returning dinosaurs with nothing new just yesterday. It gets even worse when I realize that of the 3 new dinosaurs, Patagotitan is basically just a revamped Alamosaurus, so while it is technically new, it doesn't feel very new. It also doesn't feel very special considering it's one of 6 sauropods already 100% confirmed, and Mamenchisaurus, as a canon species, is a likely addition. And Lokiceratops, while hands down the best Ceratopsian design in the entire franchise, is just another Ceratopsian of which we'll likely have many. This is why I've always been Team Cenozoic, even though some people despise the idea of Cenozoic animals coming to the game. I think they would be so vastly different and really feel like a breath of fresh air. If the game is not going to introduce a new animal group, okay. And if it's gonna be lacking in new species, okay. And if you're gonna cut more than 40 species out of your roster, honestly, okay. But I'd at least want them to pick better returning species than Archaeornithomimus and Syntausaurus, and honestly, several more on the hypothetical list that includes all canon species. I don't envy whoever has to make those decisions, because no matter which dinosaurs they cut, a portion of the player base will always be like, hey, that was my favorite, why did you cut that? It's an impossibly difficult balance to strike, because the perfect roster, or even an unproblematic roster, is incredibly subjective. Look, basically no matter what they do, there's always gonna be someone who's like, that's a problem. And then maybe that someone makes a video about it because this game is their autistic hyperfixation and they spend too much time thinking about this game. But in an iteration of the game that finally gives us epic terrain tools and waterfalls, babies, and even modular building, in my opinion, the roster so far isn't taking the same kind of leap forward. At this point, it's the only thing that, when I look at the game and all it has to offer, doesn't excite me. Yes, even modular building, which I'm not a huge fan of, at least that tool gives us all these rocks and plants to resize and clip into each other. Hopefully this video will age like milk and the remaining slots will be put to such good use that all my concerns are eased. But even if that happens, that doesn't make this video irrelevant. I think it's important to talk about concerns that we have. And then honestly, getting proven wrong is the ideal outcome. But if all canon species are going to be included, I don't see how the remaining 9 slots could possibly bring my hype for the roster up to the same level as my hype for the overall game. I should state in no uncertain terms that I fully agree a Jurassic licensed game should have all canon species eventually, because it's a franchise tie-in game and a lot of people play this game because of their love for the franchise specifically. I'm just saying, I don't think the base game at launch needs all canon dinosaurs at the cost of a balanced, varied roster. We should have all canon dinosaurs, but we don't need them day one. They can get added in later. And I know the valid counter-argument is, let them start with all canon species and add the other species back in later. And from the looks of it, that's exactly what Frontier's plan is, and a lot of people are happy about that. But I'd rather wait a year to have Sigisaurus back than wait a year to have Dinochirus back. I'd rather wait 2 years to get Dracorex back than wait 2 years to have Archelon back, just to name some examples. Let me know in a comment down below what you think of the roster so far. Check out yesterday's videos and the channel if you've missed out on any of the news, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any exciting reveals in the future. If you are subscribed to the channel, I'll be sure to give you the news as soon as it drops. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, stay tuned for more.